Hi everyone, so I just want to give a little context to what exactly you're watching. This is an unscripted and casual conversation about the topic at hand. It's kind of a podcast. I have no guests, no co-hosts, or even a name for it at the moment. I'm just kind of winging this whole thing. I have a lot of half-baked video ideas that probably wouldn't work as full-on videos for me personally, so instead of just throwing them away, I'm instead having this kind of free-form casual talk about whatever topic. This could go horribly wrong and there could never be another episode, so consider this a test pilot. And no, it won't affect my regular videos in any kind of way, considering this podcast takes no effort to make or edit, just an hour or so of my time of talking. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and play that intro. Power Rangers. When you think of Power Rangers, you think of Mighty Morphin. Or maybe not you, but the society, the world, deems Mighty Morphin as the official Power Rangers season. They are the mascot, the poster child for Power Rangers. And while it makes sense, considering they were kind of the most popular thing at one point in the 90s, 30 years later, there's a bit of fatigue, which is something that I kinda want to talk about today. Listen, as a kid who grew up in this time period, I understand I have an affinity for Mighty Morphin, but as a fan of the entire franchise, I do have a bit of a problem with it being the only thing that ever gets pushed onto the public. I created a little notepad here that I'm going to be kind of reading off of for notes and bullet points. I have pros and cons for why Mighty Morphin being the only thing that's ever being pushed out, whether Power Rangers is alive. I remember during the RPM Samurai days, they were still pushing some Flipperhead toys and Mighty Morphin stuff, and they had the god-awful, do not get me started on the Mighty Morphin, what was it, the reversion? Is that what it was? Do you guys even remember what that was? In 2010 or something, they aired Mighty Morphin again, but with stupid epic meme pop-up a Batman bam boom pow and epic edits. It was the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The point is, whether Power Rangers is alive or dead, the only thing that gives it a breath of life is Mighty Morphin. So I'm here to talk about some pros and cons. Let's start with some positives, because staying positive is very important. So some pros to Mighty Morphin being the season is that it keeps Power Rangers relevant. It lets Power Rangers stay in the zeitgeist and in the minds. You know, if you think of a show like VR Troopers or Beetleborgs, they're not really relevant unless you're in that, Saban 90s fan sphere, and they only exist. And if you're not a fan of it but you kind of remember it from your childhood, it's because you're like, oh, it's the Power Rangers show, the Power Rangers clone. But Mighty Morphin, it helps keep it Power Rangers relevant. If you talk to people who don't even know what Power Rangers is, they will at least have an idea, and what they will think of is Mighty Morphin, the cheesy 90s show, which is good. You're better off having it be Mighty Morphin than nothing. Nothing at all, right? Let's see. I wrote my notes here. It's some of the worst. I'm a terrible note taker. Oh, here you go. It's not the worst. It is not the worst season that could be the poster child for Power Rangers. And I think that's something that goes a little, it's a bit of an underrated thought, really, that there could be other Power Rangers seasons that represent the franchise, and it would be the absolute dog shit worst thing. So for example, I like Turbo, but if the Turbo movie was the most successful thing in the world and that overtook as the Power Rangers season, could you imagine how that would be? Because at least with Mighty Morphin, I think Mighty Morphin is cool. It has the dinosaurs, it has the cool theme song, the iconic theme song. The suits are really pretty. The dinosaur helmets with the big diamonds on the chest and the gloves and the boots, right? Mighty Morphin does have cool elements. Turbo, you're better off having a Tyrannosaurus toy than a minivan toy or a Jeep toy, right? And the Turbo theme song, while it is, not my favorite, it's no Mighty Morphin Go-Go Power Rangers. So there are worse seasons that could be the poster child. So when people think of Power Rangers, like if people thought of like, oh, Power Rangers, like Turbo, and I don't mean to keep ragging on Turbo, but like, oh, Turbo, the season with the cars. That's what nobody wants to think of Power Rangers as the car season, right? It's not very cool. To kind of counteract that, there are other seasons that could be cooler, right? Like Mystic Force. Some if society, the greater pop culture viewed Power Rangers as like, oh, the season with magic or something, right? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm not really good with articulating this point. This podcast thing could already be thrown in the trash, but the point is that there are really cool things about Mighty Morphin that we might take for granted. The Power Morphers and the Power Coins are really cool. The Dinozord and the Dragon Zord are really cool. And there's also the fact that it's like the longest season. You get to kind of have the Die Ranger stuff. So you have not only the Green Ranger, but the White Ranger as well. You not only have the Dragon Zord, but you get the Tiger Zord and the Thunder Zord, right? So when compared to other seasons like, Ninja Steel or something that don't really have a lot going for it, there could be worse poster boys for the franchise. So yeah, let's see here. I have cons now. Let's talk about some cons, because it's just kind of the topic of the video. We got the positive stuff out of the way. What do I have written down here? Repetition. Okay, so that's just a lot of Mighty Morphin over and over again. You get fatigued of it, right? I mean, we kind of see this in modern Marvel movies. Like, how many times there was a point where everyone loved every Marvel movie, and then as time went on, they're like, okay, I'm sick of it, right? And with Power Rangers, with Mighty Morphin, you get kind of sick of it after a while, unless it's your favorite season, right? Like, Power Rangers in Space is my favorite season, and if that were the one that 30 years later we're getting new Astro Megazord toys or new Digimorpher toys or something, like, I'll be honest, I'd be like, this is the best thing in the world and I'm so happy. And I'm sure there are like Mighty Morphin fans who like that's their favorite season and they're so stoked that they keep getting new things. But it's usually just the repetition of, here is Mighty Morphin Season 1 and some Season 2 stuff that are coming out, right? It's over and over. Here's the Pudgy Pig. Like, I feel like the Pudgy Pig, to so many, like, just average Power Rangers fans, they're like, oh, or not average Power Rangers fans, but just, like, people who don't really know much about Power Rangers, they're going to see the Pudgy Pig everywhere because he's a funny little guy, and they're going to be like, oh, he must have been a big deal, right? I mean, even in the first movie, the Ivan Ooze movie, who was that pig that was hanging out with Goldar? I remember seeing the movie and I was like, wait a minute, that person's not in the show. And I'm like, that must just be like a modernized Pudgy Pig for some reason. I love the character in that movie, but I'm just like, the Pudgy Pig is in the entire Power Rangers history in the past 30 years, the Pudgy Pig does not need that much love. He is not that iconic. You know what I mean? Like, more people know the Pudgy Pig than they do Master Xandrid or something, you know? They also don't... What else? Other notes do they have here? No expand... I wrote down no expanding. I am the worst note taker. This is why I, like, failed school so much, I'm realizing. I do not know how to take notes to save my life. No expanding. What does that mean when I wrote that down? Oh, there's not too much expanding with, like, the lore. So, of course, the exception being the comic books, right? The comic books have taken what little lore has been given to us in Mighty Morphin and made this entire universe, which is incredible, and it is super awesome. I have to get around to reading them. But, for the most part, Mighty Morphin just kind of... it keeps Power Rangers with a certain identity. I also wrote down here 90s identity. To a lot of people, Power Rangers is just the cheesy, silly show from the 90s, which I get because that was the most popular time in Mighty Morphin, or in Power Rangers history, I think, for the most part. Power Rangers Mania was a thing, just like Pokemania was in the 90s. It was all over the place. But the show had a certain tone. It was kind of campy. It was very 90s. Like, we got to do our homework and eat vegetables and, like, exercise and all that stuff. Like, it had a level of campiness that worked for sure. But I feel like with Mighty Morphin being the most popular season, that's kind of, like, the tone. And, like, Power Rangers, to be fair, every season of Power Rangers is campy in its own special way, right? I'm not saying I want Power Rangers to be serious, but there's campy from like Lightspeed Rescue or SPD. Like, those seasons are campy, but they're not overly cheesy like they were in the 90s. The Mighty Morphin, definitely season 1 at least, had that strong air of like very like just strong cheesiness that is fun. But I don't want the entire, the entire just franchise to have that as its identity. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when that, like the Fortnite trailer, that is the perfect example of like the cheesiness working. So it's like I'm contradicting my own kind of point that I'm trying to make here. Like a sidetrack, that Fortnite trailer. It captured the 90s Mighty Morphin. It had the VHS like 90s look. It had live action actors in suits. It had little bugs in rubber suited monsters like the putties. And it was playing the hype theme song, and they were beating them up, and it was like they were doing the poses. It is like, that is peak cheesiness. And which is why, like, I did say I do like the cheesiness. So I think the way the Fortnite trailer presented itself is a good indicator starter of what, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I like the cheesiness in Power Rangers, but I do not like the overly without giving too much details. Let me give you an example of what I mean by this. I went to PAX West a couple of years ago, right? And this was before Rita's Rewind came out. And I was like, oh, well, like, I just started doing this Power Ranger stuff. I started talking to the guy who was working there. He was, he worked on the game. He wrote the game's story. I'm not going to, I don't, whatever. I was like, I don't want to say his name, but I already gave away his position. The game's already out. Who cares? But I was like, I usually don't do this, by the way. I usually don't go to these gaming conventions and like talk to developers and people on the staff because I don't know what to say. But as a Power Rangers fan, I was like, oh, well, this guy is probably a big fan. And he was. And like we had a wonderful conversation. He was an incredible guy, very talented. He loved the franchise, and that was like something really charming to see. Just like a person who loved what they were doing. He told me all these cool things about the game that they had to cut out, unfortunately. Should I talk about that? I guess it is a this is a Mighty Morphin Problems video, so I'm going to go on a little sidetrack. He mentioned how in Rita's Rewind, he wrote the story, and he mentioned how he wrote these moments between Trini and Min, because spoilers, the game is about time travel. So there was some dialogue that he wrote that had Trini and Min interacting, and he was like, oh, it was very heartwarming. He's like, it made me cry, right? Yeah, but they had to cut it out. They just cut it out for some reason. And this actually transitions perfectly to what I'm gonna say. I was talking to this man, and he was like, oh, well, I don't think he thought that I was a big Power Rangers fan. I think he was trying to sell it to someone who was like a casual fan, because he was talking about Power Rangers, and he was like, and I don't blame him for this, but he said, oh, Power Rangers, it's a cheesy show from the 90s with rubber suited monsters. And I get that, like, the dismissal that you normally have to give with Power Rangers, like, oh, why are you taking it so seriously? It's just a stupid show with rubber-suited monsters and colorful spandex teams who, do poses and roll calls and stuff. Like, I understand why people usually have that fun, dismissive tone, but he said that to me probably thinking that I wasn't a big Power Rangers fan, but that's because that is what Mighty Morphin wants its identity with Power Rangers to be, it feels like, because he wrote this really emotional storyline between, Min and Srini, which is like something that fans want, which is kind of expanding on Mighty Morphin, but he wanted to expand this lore and make people feel something, and the higher ups were like, no, it's just a stupid show where they beat up the Pudgy Pig, so just focus on that. There is a discrepancy between what fans want and what the people want, which kind of leads me to another point that is very important. Mighty Morphin being the show's identity, it kind of traps it, because most of the people who grew up with Mighty Morphin are people like me and my age, Unk. I'm 30. There's people who are probably 40, even older, who maybe grew up with Mighty Morphin, but when they were kids, but now we're no longer kids. Like, yes, we are still engrossed. Is that a compliment? Engrossed. We are very enamored with Mighty Morphin tropes. We love the theme song. We love the cheesiness. We love the "it's Morphin time" and pulling out the dinosaur. We love all of that. Yes. But we're not kids anymore, and we would like to have more with Power Rangers. When I was a kid, I liked Spider-Man. I thought Spider-Man was cool. I watched the Saturday morning cartoon. Is there a guy outside with a motorcycle? I watched the Saturday morning cartoon. Which was a great show for children. The animated series wasn't really a kid's show, but you know what I mean. It was a cartoon for children. As I got older, they then had the Tobey Maguire movie, which was a bit edgier, right? They swore a little bit. Excuse my voice cracked. Puberty sucks. There was blood. They swore. It was a bit more of a mature show that I could enjoy because I was growing up. There's also video games of Spider-Man that are mature a little bit, where they will cover somewhat heavy themes. Of course, this is all not even talking about the comic books, which will, of course, be, full of lore and story. The point is that Mighty Morphin has Mighty Morphin, which is the great children's show that you can still enjoy as an adult, which is totally cool, but there's not much that has expanded upon that outside the comic books. If we want to rely on Mighty Morphin, I personally feel like there should be a bit more things out there, like especially now when the series is not really alive. I feel like, why not do more than just the comics, a cartoon or a video game or something. But like the problem with that is that a lot of the people in charge don't really like Power Rangers to that extent. They just view Power Rangers as action slop that's a cheesy thing. That's like, we want to laugh at Power Rangers, like I don't know. Maybe that's just my cynical brain telling me that's how people view Power Rangers. But it's like, even when I talk to people and I'm like, casual fans of Power Rangers, and I start to get a little passionate, they always kind of circle it back to like, well, it's just a cheesy show for kids. It's not that, we shouldn't get too serious about it. But it's like, no, because if you just look at other seasons, I'm not even going to talk about RPM. Let's go years and years before that. Power Rangers in Space. That was like, what, 3-4 years after Mighty Morphin? That was a great season. Of course, it's my favorite season. I'm going to glaze it, but that was a great season that, focused on storytelling and expanding the lore of Power Rangers, not just letting it sit on, they're colorful spandex and they fight rubber-suited monsters, the end. They took the lore from Mighty Morphin and everything, and before that, and expanded on it, and it was great. And like, as a kid who was watching it, despite growing up a little bit on Mighty Morphin, I preferred In Space because there was that air of seriousness. I'll always I'm always someone who's going to like champion the Psycho Ranger arc. I think you could, I still think to this day you could show that to anybody who is not a Power Rangers fan, and they will be head over heel and they will like it. I think there are cheesy things in it, sure, but that's okay because the focus isn't cheesiness. I think if you have a friend or someone who's like, I don't know, might be interested in watching Power Rangers, and you have this entire library to choose from, I would say just turn on the Psycho Ranger arc. Don't give them any preface. Like, just let them watch it. Who's this? That's Andros. Just let them watch it, and I think they will enjoy it. I think there is a level of like, oh, this is pretty good. I think there, like, oh, this is pretty good. They'll have that mindset, as opposed to showing them Mighty Morphin and the Pudgy Pig episode and having them laugh kind of at it. You know what I mean? When Power Rangers, when Mighty Morphin is the standard for Power Rangers, it kind of just leaves it with that 90s stink that I don't know, that I don't know. Again, I do like it. And I want to preface that, by the way, again. I understand also that the way I love Power Rangers in space, there are people who love Mighty Morphin. And that is so awesome because they are living my dream. They're having their Power Ranger season be the one that's getting all the fun stuff. But the over-reliance of this one season, it diminishes a lot of the other seasons, which is kind of big point number 2. I don't even know what my big points are. I'm just rambling. I'm so sorry. It ignores the other seasons of the show. A Power Rangers fan will be like, oh, you know, or not even a fan, just a casual kid who grew up will be like, oh, I loved Dino Thunder. Oh, I loved Beast Morphers, you know? I've noticed that in my videos, is that there's every single season of the show has someone who was like, this is my favorite. Because that's just what they grew up on. They just happened to be born in like 2006. So they, you know, grew up and were like, oh, 2010 comes along. I'm 4 years old. I love Power Ranger Samurai, right? Like, there's so much here that you could do. There is so much with these other seasons that you could just play with and that fans will like. You know, the same way that like there's always reinventions of Lord Zed and Rita. I would love to see like a Mesagog thing or Queen Banshira or Rancic. Like, Power Rangers lore is so huge that because they keep expanding on it ever since Mighty Morphin, every season was something new. There's just so much here. Oh, I don't know. Like, that's the part that really kills me, is that you have so much story potential. You know, the comics and other things, again, which I haven't read, but Mighty Morphin, I feel like, has been milked dry to any really useful degree. Like, think about this. It's 2025 as of recording this, and when you might be watching this. We got no SPD things. There were 0 SPD. That's the season. That's the show that takes place in 2025, and we get nothing. So yeah, I think that's mostly just my off-the-cuff thoughts and ramblings so far on kind of Mighty Morphin, fatigue. But, of course, what is a podcast without a guest? And since I don't have any guests, and I may not, I really don't know, I went to twitter.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Connor the Waffle. Somebody took Connor the Waffle years ago before I made my YouTube channel, and I've been stuck with this bootleg handle ever since. But hold on, let me open up Twitter Cam. Yeah, we got Twitter Cam right here. And if you're just listening, then it doesn't matter because I'm going to read it all out. I made a tweet that said, what are your thoughts on the oversaturation and reliance on MMPR as the face of Power Rangers? The good, the bad, the indifference. And I got some replies here that I'm going to read because you, for this first debut podcast episode, you people are the co-host and the guests. So let's read a couple of comments here. Midwest Tokusatsu put, by not putting more of a spotlight on better series, having MMPR as the face of the brand upholds the negative stigma PR has with the general public. I understand it's what people are most familiar with, but is it really worth it when the franchise is a laughingstock as a result? And I think that's pretty important and true. It goes back to what I said earlier with Power Rangers being the show that's cheesy and silly and like, look at them, it's for stupid little babies who, why are you taking it so seriously? As a quick aside, my videos, I try to do what I can with them to erase that stigma. When you're a kid, you're not thinking like that. When you're a kid, you think Power Rangers is the coolest thing in the world, and it still is. So when I make my videos, I try not to, for the most part, go around and be like, and then this happens. This is so silly and stupid, and this is, look how dumb this looks. I play the cool Fire Emblem music. I try to make the show feel like it's something more than what most people think it is. I try to have that stigma of Power Rangers being cool as much as I can, of course, but I can't change the world. I can't change everyone's mind. Let's see, let's go back to this Twitter cam. I mean, PR is PR. Beggars can't be choosers, but I still hate it. I'll buy Mighty Morphin Fortnite, but I still wish it was Samurai. And this goes back to what I said earlier. This is a Samurai fan who most people might not like Samurai, but if you grew up with it, you're like, why isn't there Samurai in the Fortnite shop? Because Samurai was like the second or third most watched Power Ranger season ever. I don't think it eclipsed Mighty Morphin, but it may have. I don't remember, but yeah, this is another person just being like, hey, it's better than nothing, which is another point I brought up earlier. Let's see another question here, or statement. Psycho White, if rehashing a show, we can go back and watch it, and watch is the best they can do, then just quit and dub Sentai into English. Hold on, I had a stroke reading that. I'm very dyslexic. When I was a kid, all of my teachers were like, this kid is pretty smart, but he can't comprehend anything. Meaning I would read things all the time and not retain any of it. So let me try this again. If rehashing a show, we can go back. Maybe that's just bad grammar. I don't know. Basically, this person has had enough. And they're saying either just dub the Sentai or just quit. And it's like, it's hard because it's like, as a fan, you're like, I get where they're coming from. They don't want the show to just be a laughingstock forever. They would be like, look, man, the show had a legacy. Just kill it off or do something different, which I can respect. That is something pretty different. Let's see here. Let's bring back Twitter cam. Shows rely on it. Oh, yeah, the shows rely on it way too much as nostalgia bait, especially in the newest era. The comics expanded and gave it a lot more nuance to that era and even better stories. Fortnite is a nostalgic toy commercial that would have been more fun if the shows had tried harder. So this is true. I do forget that, like, ever since what was it, Samurai, or I'm not, like, Megaforce flopped like crazy. Later seasons, like Beast Morphers and stuff, and Ninja Steel and Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury, a lot of the lore does rely on like Mighty Morphin. Like Cosmic Fury's big thing was like the Morphin Masters, and I'm like, what, this throwaway line from Mighty Morphin? That's how much we're reaching for lore right now. I mean, Beast Morphers is a great example. Spoilers, by the way, cover your ears if you haven't seen Beast Morphers. But the fact that Beast Morphers literally has what's his name? The virus from Venjix. It has Venjix. It's like, yes, finally, there's like a literal cliffhanger that season left, and it took years to even just mention it again. Like, that's cool. I think it's good to expand on lore outside of Mighty Morphin. But yeah, relying on it way too much here. Fortnite is a nostalgic toy commercial, so that I guess that does make sense why Mighty Morphin would be a perfect fit for that. And the comics, which again, I still have to read. This person also, Surugi VT, it's a VTuber, shout out to them. The comics specifically felt like they struck a particular chord where they weren't exploiting Mighty Morphin, but rather expanding on it. So again, another comic thing, which is good. It seems like fans who are like, I like Mighty Morphin, but not that much, what they want is just something new. I don't think people are really sick of Mighty Morphin. They're just sick of the like sanitized, lazy, like just rehashing of the 90s, right? Like I do respect that. It's like if Mario games were just 8-bit NES games still, they'd be like, bro. It's like there was a time though, to be fair, a quick sidetrack, when Nintendo loved re-releasing Mario 1 on the NES, and it's just like, yes, I don't care. Nobody cares about this anymore. I guess I kind of see how people feel about that. Let's see. I know the collab for Fortnite was highly anticipated. I use the Pink Ranger skin as my main one now. I love them so much, so I don't mind them coming out of anywhere else. It's okay, someone who's just a little more accepting that, hey, this is what we got, and they like it, which is good. Okay, so here's something good. I'm not here we need Twitter cam back for this one. Amazing? Dude, seeing people actually care about the Power Rangers again brings tears to my eyes. Like, I love seeing them in the mainstream media again. Sad we didn't get a Rita Repulsa skin in Fortnite. So, yeah, this is someone who is like, the glass is not half full. The glass is fully full for this person. The glass is overflowing. They are just happy to see Power Rangers be in the media. And I'll be fair, and I'll be honest, yeah, when this Fortnite trailer dropped, I was like, oh, everyone is loving Power Rangers. Seeing the video get millions of views on YouTube and seeing everyone universally just praise it, it was heartwarming. It was like, oh, dude, finally some vindication that Power Rangers isn't cringe 90s slop. Like, that was awesome. So I get where this person, I get where you're coming from, Mr. Spooky Mongo Goose. Appreciate that. Let's see. Knight Rider. That's a pretty cool name. I am not really a PR fan, so maybe I don't have a say, but as a casual outsider, this is literally the perspective that we need for this video, I find that it's probably the only way they can get the most people to interact with the franchise. There's plenty of teams and suits from later seasons I like, but I find Mighty Morphin a sweet simplicity. So this is a great statement, actually. Let me pull up the Twitter cam again. I'm not a PR fan. I'm pretty casual. Which this person is right. Mighty Morphin is like the only way, apparently, for the franchise to succeed. But the problem is that we don't know because we've never tried. If Fortnite released an SPD thing, who's to say that, like, I feel like a lot of people know Mighty Morphin, right? Everyone knows Mighty Morphin. If you know what a Power Ranger is, you're thinking of Mighty Morphin as a casual outsider. You don't know much about Power Rangers. But if you released SPD, there's, I guaranteed, a lot of people who never knew what that season was. You would have big Twitter accounts retweeting it being like, the Power Rangers are cops? ? Like, you would have so many people be in shock, and it could be a success. You never know. You don't know. And we don't know until we try it. Mighty Morphin is the safe option, but I feel like you should, like, try, see what happens. Hell, I'll even accept Samurai as something you all should try. Hasbro, whoever's in charge. Re-release some new Samurai stuff because that was a popular season. It's not even my favorite. Samurai is not even, like, one of my favorite seasons, but I would love it for new Samurai stuff to come out because, again, at least it's different. So we don't know because we've never tried. Let's see. Jeremy here. Your Twitter @ is seemingly your first and last name, so I will not dox you in this forum, even though it's public. It lost its magic. They have overused them because it's the original one. Honestly, the only Ranger people mention is the Green Ranger, like, almost every time. Which is true. I guess I didn't even mention that previously. It's not even like Mighty Morphin is that beloved. People will like the Red Ranger because he's the red one, and he's, like, by pop culture, the leader. But it's not even the Green Ranger. It's specifically Tommy. The Tommy Green Ranger is, like, the only thing that matters. He is like the Iron Man or the Batman. Which is, like, again, that's a whole other video. I think I might be doing that for another topic, possibly. I don't want to dive into that too much. This is the Mighty Morphin problem, not the Tommy Oliver problem, which, again, we'll get into a little bit later. But let's get back to some other comments here. Spin-Greg, I love that name. No, I'm sorry. Ken up here says, too much Mighty Morphin energy is dangerous, which is very true. But back to Spin-Greg. I think it's a problem not unique to Power Rangers. Many superhero and other franchise brands always are reliant on the favorite and remembered classic characters, with it always seeming difficult to introduce something new into the popular pop culture zeitgeist. I don't know if I really agree with that, you know? I get it, yes. When it comes to, like, Marvel, for example, it's always Spider-Man. Spider-Man is always going to be Marvel's poster child, no matter how popular, like, any other superhero is. Yes, Spider-Man's going to be the guy. But, I mean, Iron Man was not even that popular until the movie came out in, like, 2007 or 8. Like, nobody really knew who Iron Man was. And even later than that, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy were... That whole movie was, like, a big gamble, because who the hell are they? They're not Spider-Man or the Hulk or Daredevil. And they got popular. The thing with this is that, like, there are obviously... Again, this is another point, going back to the previous points, I guess. There are the safe options. Mighty Morphin is the safe option. But when you have the safe option, you're allowed to take some risks, you know? Mighty Morphin Fortnite is successful. Awesome. Do something with a different season. Do something with Time Force. And just see what happens. Because if it fails... okay, you can still rely on Mighty Morphin all the time. There's no risks being taken with this, and that's a big problem. Let's see, other comments. Disabled Cell says, meh. So, I don't know. I'm sorry, you have been beaten down to the point you don't care. Let's see. Mr. or Mrs. I am the Ramos. The one and only Ginrumi simp. I don't know if I should have said that out loud now that I think about it. I honestly think it's getting to the point where nobody cares anymore because it's all they push. It's frustrating because MMPR 1 isn't even a good season. I don't think it's a good decision in the long run. Yeah, and that's the thing, because, like, specifically, yeah, it is just Mighty Morphin Season 1 in particular that they push. There are some Season 2 things, such as Lord Zed, but I think that's it. Like, they will use Lord Zed from Season 2, and then the Tenga Warriors from Season 3. And that's it. I mean, how many times has Ninjor popped up as, like, a toy? Can you go to Walmart and see Ninjor? You know what I mean? Like, it really is just Season 1. I mean, even in the Once and Always movie, the Netflix movie, who were the two monsters that were alongside? I can't even remember. It was like Robo Slytherin or something. I can't remember. But the two monsters were also random Season 1 nobodies. So, I don't know. There is a lot of lore in Mighty Morphin, just in Season 2. But it's just Season 1. So, yeah, I get that. Let's see. Pally's Cafe. It's such a shame because there are so many other better and cooler seasons of Power Rangers that we could get suits of. Could and should get suits of. Again, yeah. The Mighty Morphin Season 1 suits, I do think, probably are in the top 5. I don't know if that's my personal opinion or just mass brainwashing throughout the years, having Mighty Morphin pushed down my throat. But those suits are cool. But again, yeah, there are other cool ones that we should get some love for. Let's see. Mon Mecha. I wouldn't mind. Mon Mecha said, I wouldn't mind so much, but they need to make Bulk and Skull Power Rangers. That's true, yeah. More Bulk and Skull would be nice. We don't get a lot of Bulk and Skull. Which, again, kind of blows my mind, honestly. Let's see here. We got another comment here from Nova Revenant. Oh, this one's a meme, so we have to pull up the Twitter cam again. Power Rangers fans, stop giving attention to the already popular. There are better underrated materials that need more attention. Final Fantasy and Pokemon fans. First time. Now, I don't know much about Final Fantasy fan base or the lore, but Pokemon... Okay, I think you might have a point there. But at least there's new Pokemon stuff. I refuse that this argument is the thing. I am denying this argument, because at least you're going to get Pokemon Legends ZA, that is, and Pokemon Scarlet. You do get new Pokemon things. I don't know. I think if you made a new Power Rangers show and you had the Mighty Morphin show up and have cameos, that's fine. But when I don't know. Maybe I would lose this argument. I feel like Pokemon will show a bit of love to the newer stuff. Obviously, there are favors whenever like they're introducing the new Super Mega Evolution, Super Mega Mode. It is like Charizard and Zubat and like Gen 1 stuff. I get it. But imagine if Pokemon Scarlet came out and you could only catch the original 151. That's what it feels like being a Power Rangers fan. We will get a crumb of something, but it will be overshadowed immensely by this one thing, which is crazy. So, yeah. I feel like we covered a lot. So that's it. That is kind of Mighty Morphin fatigue, Mighty Morphin oversaturation. I feel I tried my best to cover both the positives and the negatives, the pros and the cons. What's a good takeaway message for this? For me personally, I personally get it. I am someone that would rather have Power Rangers exist a little bit, even if it is mostly to a bastardized degree. Like I didn't think the Reignition toys were very good looking. They kind of look like bootleg head flippers. They look cheap and garbage, which is a negative. But because we were able to hold on, we got the Fortnite trailer. I'm not even talking about the game. Like, I haven't even played the Fortnite game to experience, like, apparently you can get in the Dinozord and fight bosses. I have no goddamn clue how Fortnite works. This is so new to me. I saw clips of it on Twitter, just as a quick aside. And I saw, like, Hank Hill and Peter Griffin get inside of the Megazord and have a boss battle? What do you mean there are boss battles in Fortnite? I thought it was just PvP shooting as, like, the Power Rangers and having them do the Fortnite L dance. I have no idea how this game works. But the game looks cool. But I'm just talking about the trailer itself. Like, that was cool. That was awesome. That kind of lit a fire in me I was riding that high for a couple of weeks, honestly, just seeing the trailer. But them in Fortnite is cool. Like, the gameplay is cool. I have seen tons of memes of, like, Ariana Grande going into the Megazord, and it has hundreds of thousands of likes. Like, by proxy, that is Power Rangers in the mainstream. I would rather have Power Rangers be in the mainstream and be in the cultural zeitgeist, even if it isn't in a perfect way. I'd rather have that than have it fully disappear. There is a level of, like, leave the memories alone. Power Rangers could have died with RPM and it would have been like, oh, what an amazing run of a show. But I'm stubborn, you know. I'm a stubborn fan. I mean, look at me. I'm making Power Rangers videos in the year of our Lord 2025. Like, I'm a fan who wants to keep this going. Even if it means getting garbage after garbage, you gotta try and push to get something good. You know, what did they say? What's that saying? Anything worth having is worth fighting for or something. Can I Google that? Let's Google that. Anything worth anything having is worth fighting for. Let's go to Google Images. Who said that? Do they have a stupid cringe thing where they're like, Abraham Lincoln said that? Whatever. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. If you as a Power Rangers fan want it to exist, I think it's worth, doing anything. Complaining. If they release anything, a video game or a TV show, I think it is worth fighting for it. And not just saying, this is great, I love it. No. I think personally it's okay to get something and trash on it and make them do better. I think Sonic is like the perfect example of that. For years, there were garbage Sonic games that fans complained about, and they eventually got it right because fans wanted it. We got Sonic Mania because there was a fan who was probably like, these games are bad, we need a good one. If Sonic 06 came out and Sonic Forces and everyone was like, this is great because it's better than nothing, they would just continue to do that. With Power Rangers, I think it's fair that even if we don't get that much, to want something better, to strive for something and have something. No, Mighty Morphin is not my favorite, but it is charming. It has potential to evolve past the 90s cheese that it has. We just have to have the right people, or you just gotta care enough to make it work somehow. I don't really know. Mighty Morphin fatigue is real. Some people don't have it. Some people do. That's just the nature of it all. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Mighty Morphin. I would love to read and engage with these. And I guess that also kind of wraps up episode 1 of this unnamed miscellaneous podcast. This was possibly a train wreck. Maybe there will be no more episodes after this. I have no idea. But if you like it, I hope you can let me know. Or if you have any suggestions or whatever. Again, maybe I'll have guests down the road. Maybe I'll have a co-host. Maybe we'll do something else. I don't really know. This is kind of a test podcast, I guess. Yeah, it's a bit of a test. It's not even really an episode. Later episodes could look totally different. They may not even exist. But let me know what you think. Again, this was just so I could... I have an entire list somewhere. I'm not going to show it because it's in my documents, but it is like just tons of video ideas. Like, would this video work? Would this video work? And I really just don't want to... I'm like, maybe that won't work, or that's going to be too much to script, or I can't really make that a long video as much as I'd like to. And they've just been kind of thrown away. So I'm kind of reviving them through this podcast now, and kind of being able to talk on a more casual basis without freaking out too much. I got some more replies to this tweet. Let's see. Because we're just hanging out, who cares? The Omega Rider. I don't hate MMPR, but I don't like how it's all we get in terms of promotion and toys. Imagine if in Smash Bros. They only had Gen 1 Pokemon, or if you walked into Walmart and saw Gen 1 Transformer toys on shelves. Yeah, again, a lot of people seem to just be like, bro, just do something with it. Expand on this entire franchise you have. You don't know. You literally do not know if another show or another property would be successful. You don't know if having Samurai or Megaforce in Fortnite would be successful unless you try. Just try and do something. God damn. But yeah, without getting... We could talk about this all day. If you have any other suggestions or anything, let me know down below. Maybe a name. That would be a good start, actually, for this podcast. That would be wonderful. Name suggestions, guest suggestions, topic suggestions, whatever. I don't really know. Thank you so much for listening. Do I even have outro music? Let's see if I do. Thank you so much. Mwah, mwah. I'll talk to you guys next time.